Welcome to the Chats and Chops podcast. My name is Ryan Johnson. I'm a board certified music therapist, and we're going to talk about guitar and music therapy, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Chats and Chops podcast. My name is Ryan Johnson, and I am so honored and privileged and excited to have Rebekah Rawle with me. Rebekah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ryan?
Doing excellent, doing excellent. So, what I want us to do to get started is just kind of have the listeners learn a little bit more about you. And we're going to be talking about you and your guitar journey and how you've been using guitar and music therapy and all sorts of stuff related to guitar and music therapy. Sound cool?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, tell me about yourself and how you got into music therapy.
I'm Bekah. I am currently working at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, as one of the music therapists working with hematology oncology patients. And I originally got into music therapy as a patient myself at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I was a patient in high school for this disease called Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. But while I was admitted into the hospital, I had a music therapist myself. I don't remember much of that experience, but I do know that was my first introduction into what the profession was and what it could look like in practice. But I still kind of didn't know much about it until I went to college and I went to the University of Georgia. And there we have a music therapy degree program. And I learned a little bit about it from the students there and from talking with the professors. And I kind of just knew it was the perfect profession to combine all of my interests and things that I wanted to do within a profession, which is helping others, using music as a way to facilitate that help and to meet those clinical needs of my patients. And as I learned more about it, it just felt even more like the perfect fit. And I did my various practicums and found that the medical setting is where I really feel like I thrive and where I find I have the most passion. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love medical music therapy, and I love how you had a personal experience with music therapy that then drew you to the profession.
hmm
And it's just like music's just an amazing thing, isn't it? Like
It really is.
how
It's
you go ahead.
Well, just every single day within my personal life and just within my job, I'm reminded of how personal music can be for people. And by using that personal connection and that emotional connection we have with it, it can really just, in other words, it feels like magic sometimes. And I get that word from doctors too, of just what they see from using music as our medium, how powerful it can be. It's amazing. I love it.
Absolutely. Me too. I feel so lucky to be a music therapist.
Me as well.
Yeah. So, where did you do your internship at?
So I did my internship at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, and you were actually my internship director for the majority of that time. Um, and so that was in the fall of 2023. And that was an amazing experience because I got more experience within the medical setting as a learning music therapy, but also I got to be with a lot of different populations while I was there. I was with outpatient oncology, inpatient ICU, various inpatient floors, to be honest, pediatrics, NICU. I think that covers most of it.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of different populations I got to
Oh,
work with.
rehab?
Rehab, yes,
Yeah.
inpatient and outpatient rehab.
Yeah.
That was a great experience, but just having a place where I knew I was going to be taught by really well-established music therapists who have a lot of skill and talent, and I would not be where I am today without all of y'all's education and help. So thank you.
Oh, well, I feel really lucky to be a part of that journey too. You were a fantastic intern, and we
Thank
loved
you.
getting to work with you. And super glad to, just still keep the connection and be chatting with you today too. So you've been in the profession, we were talking kind of beforehand, and you've been in the profession for like 2 years now, right?
Almost about a year and a half, I guess, a little longer than a year and a half. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, got it. And so in the year and a half that you've been practicing, what do you love about music therapy so far?
Um, I think the thing I love the most is seeing how each day, even though it's the same, I'm going to the same job, what I get out and what my patients get out from each day can look completely different because it could be that day is different for them. So have a different need. Like one day I might do more of like a relaxation session with a patient versus the next day we're really working on coping skills and how to use music as a way to facilitate and learn different coping skills while they're admitted in the hospital. So I love that each day is a new day and that each day I'm still learning. And I think I love to be a lifelong learner. And so I think this is a great profession to be somebody who enjoys that because every day I'm always learning more about myself, about who I am as a music therapist, how music therapy can help the people that we work with. So it's just an amazing profession, and every day I think I fall in love with it even more. So,
Yeah. In the, I guess it's like 8 years now that I've been practicing. It's, I'm still in love with it. You know, it's just using music
mhm.
to help people is such a privilege and such a gift, you know, and how amazing it is that there's an actual profession out there of trained clinicians that are actually using music to do just that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, so we're going to kind of pivot a little bit and we're going to talk more about kind of like your guitar background and journey. So, when did you start playing guitar and what was your first guitar that you had?
So I started playing guitar around the age of 10, but I do want to give the context of I started playing violin at 6. So I was
Okay.
already familiar with like a string instrument and that like dexterity that you have to have in your fingers to be able to play these kinds of instruments. But really guitar, I picked it up around the age of 10. I grew up, my dad plays, so I grew up with that in the house and
Oh,
just
okay.
always knew I wanted to eventually learn. And the first guitar I had to have been like a half size, probably Yamaha or something like that.
Nice.
And then eventually moved up to a full size, I think sometime in middle school. But so I guess at this point, I've been playing almost 15 years because when I first started, it was all self-taught just from like, I don't know, like Taylor Swift books or something like
That's
that.
right.
So
That's right.
yeah.
You know, she was considered to be one of the great guitar heroes. And this is all just anecdotal. But
Hmm.
what I've heard is that when Taylor Swift came onto the scene, there were a lot of girls that started wanting to learn how to play guitar because she came onto the scene and she was inspiring them to learn how to play. And so for me, like, that's just super cool. It's the same thing. I've also heard the same thing happen with like Lizzo and kids wanting to
Hmm.
learn how to play flute because of Lizzo, which is like
That's
that's just
so
super cool to
cool.
me. Yeah, yeah,
I love when kind of mainstream artists bring in those different instruments that like most people might not want to learn or know about to learn. So I love hearing that.
yeah, absolutely. So you started playing guitar. You had some background with violin, and you started playing guitar when you were 11, and you were inspired by artists like Taylor Swift
Mhm.
and things like that. So, what was it like then when you had your guitar skills and you transitioned to UGA, where you were like taking guitar classes and things like that?
Yeah. So from when I started learning through the beginning of college, I was really just doing your typical standard chords like C, G, D, E minor, the very typical chord shapes, that kind of stuff. I don't even think I even had the hand strength to attempt a bar of F. It was all like mini bars.
Hmm.
So once I got to university, I knew I had to learn new skills, and they kind of that's what they said too, is like to be a music therapist, you have to have a really great foundation of techniques and skills on guitar because it is one of the instruments that we use the most in our practice. So within university, I learned I just gained strength in my hand to be able to play bar chords, which was great. And just learned a little bit more of how to do finger picking and some like other techniques like hammer-ons, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But I still feel like day to day was still a lot more of like self-taught in terms of like learning repertoire and that kind of thing. And that just came from either listening to the song and learning it, finding a chord sheet for it. And at that point, I was starting to learn how to read tablature.
Hmm. Yeah. So when you started playing guitar, you'd say it's kind of like more of the foundations, like the G, C, E minor, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then like when you got to school, they helped you with like your bar chords and finger
Hmm.
picking, and then still also like adding in some additional practice with like learning your repertoire. And
Yes.
I'm sure also, being able to actually use it in session, like in your practica and stuff like that too.
Yes. And also, I don't know how I forgot to mention this before, theory. That was a
Oh yeah.
huge breakthrough in my being able to play and learning those skills because once I learned like Roman numerals and, what chords go within each key, that kind of thing, that really helped kind of set me up to be successful in learning songs that weren't just in the key of, C and G and that kind of thing. So,
Hmm. Yeah, that theory, man. Like I it's almost like someone should do like a thesis on music theory in music therapy programs in the United States. I actually already did
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely have thoughts about that. And how useful it is for us.
Hmm.
Um, and so like that was a big unlocking thing for me too in my own guitar journey
Hmm.
was like connecting the music theory to the fretboard was like a
Yes.
huge game changer for me. And it's honestly like I think in Roman numerals, you
No,
know.
me as well.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it just like it makes learning songs so much easier because I don't have to actually memorize the chord progression. I can hear it,
Hmm.
and so that goes into the theory oral skills kind of thing. Um,
Yes.
so would you say that you use guitar the most, like in your music therapy sessions as far as instruments and stuff
Oh,
like that?
for sure. If I'm playing, it's most often always guitar. Occasionally, I bring in ukulele if that's more appropriate, or occasionally piano, but not often. I think, and especially if I'm doing like any kind of adapted instruction, it's primarily going to be on guitar or ukulele.
Yeah. From internship how much logistics go into bringing a piano, into a
Yes.
patient's bedroom
Yes, for
and then
sure.
playing
And
for them.
yeah, I'm fortunate that my job does provide, we have kind of like miniature keyboards that are like lap size and you can just,
Oh, okay.
I could put them on my lap but typically my patients want to play the keyboard and then I play the guitar to support what they're playing. So
Nice, nice.
I'm not often, unless they want to like switcheroo and kind of change it up, but
Hmm.
most often I'm playing guitar.
Yeah. And so when that happens, is that more of like, hey, let's play this song together, here's the chords, or is it kind of more of like an improvisational experience, or I'm just really fascinated. Like what's it like when
Um,
you bring it in like that?
for when the patient plays the keyboard,
Yeah. Hmm.
most often improvisational, especially if I'm working with younger patients. If they get a little bit older and I can like explain a little bit more about like a chord sheet, then I might have, and they want to play more along to a song. I'll teach them how to read the chord sheet and like do either just like the root note of the chord, or if they have maybe some a little bit experience, or if we have more time, might try to teach them some triads. But primarily, I would say improvisational kind of that's
Yeah.
the main method of using it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm finding in my own practice too, and it makes a lot of sense to have like those improvisational experiences, and then as they're able to, as their brains develop and they're able to,
Hmm.
process more of that information, like being able to play the root notes and that
Hmm.
sort of thing, and yeah, it's just awesome, isn't it?
It
How we can
is.
support our clients in that way.
Yes, for sure. And most often, I'll try to prompt them to just play the white keys and I'll play a song within C major so that no matter what they're playing, it sounds and goes along with the song that I'm playing and supporting them on. Um, or I often have kids where they just pick up on what sounds good and they find themselves, I see them going back to those notes. Even though they're improvising, they're still picking up on that kind of foundational structure that music has,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, it really is. I work with a non-speaking autistic kid, and he loves the note B, and he
Mm.
loves the organ sound too. So like I have like my mini keyboard plugged up to my iPad with GarageBand, and he loves to play the B, and then he'll look at me like, you play. And so then like I'll play like a B and an E or like a
Hmm.
B and an F sharp or something like that. And then
Hmm.
like it's so cool just to watch him like gravitate towards that note that and it's that note that centers him too.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, it's just like, and whenever I go to his sessions, I bring ukulele, which I use a lot of guitar skills with
Hmm.
ukulele too. But
Hmm.
awesome, awesome. So you use like guitar primarily. You have like little keyboards, and I'm sure like other instruments, like small percussive instruments and stuff like that
Oh,
too.
for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So, what guitar do you use for music therapy these days?
Um, I'm also fortunate that my job provides us with guitars to use within the hospital, and we are using I'm not sure what the model is. I know it's a Yamaha, but it's a three-quarter size, which I find as someone who has very small hands and just the going between different rooms and moving around the hospital all day, I find a three-quarter a lot more functional and efficient just because it's a lighter weight, it's a smaller size, it's just a little bit more portable than I think a big full size would be.
Hmm.
Um, and I would like to say though, I do, especially at home, like I'm playing full size all the time. So I still am practicing that like stretching of my fingers to work on those different guitar techniques. But in terms of in practice, I do think for me at least a three-quarters, it makes the most sense and it's the most functional for my clinical experience. So,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because at TMH we just had like full size nylons,
mhm.
and hearing you talk about it now, like having a three-quarter size would make things a lot easier, just being able
Yes,
to move around. Is it nylon or is it acoustic?
it's acoustic. And
Oh, okay.
I do miss the nylon experience just because that is a lot um, less, I guess, taxing on your fingers throughout the
Yeah.
day, especially if it's a day where you have a lot of sessions or if it's a session where I'm playing for 30 minutes straight. It's after a while on a steel string, it can be a little tiring, even with how much I'm playing all the time. But I think because at home I play acoustic primarily, I don't personally own a classical guitar with nylon strings that I find I work fine with a steel string in my job. So.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One of the reasons why I asked you to join in this podcast episode is because I've been really inspired by what you've been doing with your TikTok, where you've been covering Lizzie McAlpine covers and like Joni Mitchell, and like you sound absolutely fantastic when you do that. And I see you playing in like alternate tunings and using like hammer-ons and pull-offs and like just these amazing arrangements like of these songs. And so what I wanted to ask you is kind of like, how often do you practice guitar with the intent to grow your guitar skills?
Um, I would say nowadays, definitely like 2 to 3 times a week. And each time it's at least an hour or two that I'm playing. And that's just with the intent to grow. I'm playing much more than that.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for example, an internship, though, I would go home from internship and I was playing 2 to 3 hours like almost every day, multiple hours on the weekends. So I really took that time to learn a lot of like the foundational skills and learn the foundation for how I practice my
Mhm.
guitar skills. And from there, I mean, back then it would take me, for example, Cherry Wine by Hosier. That I remember that took me like 8 hours to learn and like feel confident on. But now I learn a song that's I would say objectively harder than that one, and it'll take me like an hour or two to learn. So
Amazing.
when really made sure focused in on like building those techniques for myself and those foundational skills, it's made learning other songs so much easier. So I
Yeah.
think nowadays I don't necessarily practice as much with the intent to grow, but I also don't take as long to learn a song and grow from it. So,
Especially if it has like more advanced guitar skills, in it because you already sewed in the time to
mhm.
learn the technique itself that you can then apply to different songs that you learn.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, this is a question that I just thought of. How do you separate like learning music for music therapy versus learning music for like your own personal enjoyment?
Mhm. Um, I think the biggest thing is, well, I listen to a lot of like folk acoustic music anyway myself. So every time I'm listening to my music that I listen to for me, I will hear a song and I'm like, oh, I hear the guitar part in that song. I would love to learn that. And so I just force myself to learn it. And then when I'm learning a song for a patient or for work, it's much more focused on like, as I'm learning it, how can I make this functional in practice? Because yes, like sitting on my couch at my in my home, I can do a lot more techniques, but when you're actually within a session and focusing on all the different things like looking at their monitor and watching the patient, seeing how they're reacting to the music and all the different things as music therapists we have to be aware of. I don't want to rely on myself to have to do all those really hard, fancy things all the time
Absolutely.
in session, just because that's not what I'm there for. I'm there
Hmm.
to use music to help the patient, not show off my guitar skills. So when
Absolutely.
I'm learning a song for a patient, I start by really trying to focus in on like, how can I learn this that I will use in a session? And then if I have the time and if it's a song I really enjoy, I might try to learn a little bit more of the kind of nuances of the song that are a bit more authentic to it. And not to say it's not authentic anyway, but
Yeah.
that's when I really try to focus in. Like if there's a really cool riff that's really notable to the song, I'll learn that after I've really learned like the foundation of the song
Yeah.
as like an add-on.
Hmm.
Um, but I think also I really try to balance like if I'm learning one song for work and for a patient, I'm also going to learn a song for myself to balance that work and personal music that I have. So,
That's really good. Yeah. So it's like you have the boundary with like when you're learning songs as from the music therapy perspective, it's like what do I need to learn to
mhm.
facilitate the session?
Yes,
Because
yes,
that's spoken like a true music therapist, like
yes,
it's the music has to be secondary and like
hmm
our attention and our focus on our patients and our clients has to be primary at that point.
yes,
And then when you're wanting to grow your guitar skills for fun, it's like, oh, here's this really cool riff in this song that I really like. Let me
hmm
see if I can learn it. And then
yes,
then you try learning it in like, I'm sure YouTube or Ultimate Guitar or, stuff like that, or figuring things out by ear,
hmm
um, that sort of thing. So
hmm
that's what I find works really well for me too. Like my preferred music is actually metal music.
hmm
And then like folky stuff like Bon Iver, and
yes,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And so um, I really don't use a whole lot of that music in music therapy. So it's pretty easy for me to like separate, like that sort of music between like what I'm actually, using in sessions these days and things like that.
Me as well. Yeah, I'm not often playing Lizzie McAlpine or a Joni Mitchell with, a 4-year-old.
Yeah, no.
But no, they don't know that music. But
I
I
have
do,
I
you
have
have
used
what?
those songs though in rehab with like some of my
Yes.
older, like there was a like a 20 something, that I was working with that loved Lizzie McAlpine.
Mhm.
And so I played a song of hers for her.
Yes. No, I do, they occasionally come in, but it's not my day-to-day music that I use in sessions.
Yeah.
Um, But I do want to say that in terms of learning music for me personally, just getting more experience in learning and practicing songs, that's where I've honed in the skill of what chords go into a key or what's a variation of a chord if it's not the standard shape, like what's another way I can play the same chord that's maybe a different inversion. And then from there, for example, in a session, especially as I'm pretty new to my current position, there are times where I might not have the chord sheet that I need on my work iPad. And so then I pull up on, I guess, Google and it's the wrong uh, key to be in. And I
Hmm.
can't transpose it on the actual device. So I have to transpose it in my head. And I
Yeah.
would not have been able to do that maybe even 3 years ago. That's something that with as much practice as I put in, I can really just do that on the spot now. And I'm very proud to say that that's still something I can do secondary and still focus on my patient, even though I'm
Absolutely.
like actively transposing a song in the moment. So,
Yeah, and that's that formal training, that they give you. And
yep.
it takes a while, but having that like having that foundational guitar skill that you can then pull out when you need to use it in music therapy,
Hmm.
it's like it just makes the sessions go so much smoother, you
It
know,
does.
which is
Yeah,
why it can be really important for, at least I believe it's really important for us as music therapists to continue growing our guitar skills.
I
Um,
agree.
Yeah.
Well, especially just, I think music will never stop. People will always release new music. Our patients will always find new music that we might not know. So we have to keep up those skills of learning new songs, learning how we practice and what's the most efficient way for us to practice. We can't ever lose that because that is such a huge part of our career.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that makes me think like um how do you practice guitar? Like what does it look like for you? Is it like as soon as I'm done with dinner, like I'm gonna go do dishes and then I'm gonna practice guitar, or is it like
Mhm.
kind of like on the whim of a moment? Like do you put it in your calendar? Like what does it look like when you're finding time to
Um,
practice?
I think nowadays it's much more just kind of where if I'm in the mood and when I'm feeling, if I hear a song and think, oh, I really want to play that. Um, I think when I was really uh, for myself wanting to learn those foundational techniques and everything, I was a little bit more strict on I'm gonna make sure I sit for an hour, hour and a half to make sure until I feel confident on that skill, at least in that moment, day to day can waver a little bit, but I would set a time and think, what's a song I want to learn? And I would start I learn a lot more from reading. If it's a song that doesn't have a tab, I'll learn from
Hmm.
ear or from a tutorial video, but I prefer to read tabs. That's like my main mode of learning.
Hmm.
And I'll start at like how you teach your different riffs and things where you start at a slow speed, like depending on the difficulty, it could be anywhere from starting at half the speed to like 80%. But I work my way up to full tempo. And then most of the time, especially if it's a song I prefer and it's like one of my preferred songs, I will sit there until I learn the song. And that
Yeah.
could take, like I said before, that could take 8 hours to learn the song, and I will sit and maybe, I mean, have a break to do the things you need to do. But
Right.
I, I think I've really grown to be passionate about the guitar and I don't really give up on it easily if it's a
Yeah,
song that I really want to learn.
absolutely.
Oh.
You know, that it hearing you say that, you're passionate about guitar, like I think that's something that I've heard other music therapists say that like they have this really negative relationship with the instrument.
Mhm.
Um, and it's something that I mean, it saddens me, being honest, because
Yeah.
I've seen how amazing like my relationship with this instrument has like actually completely changed my life for the better, you know?
Oh, me
And
too.
so I want that for every music therapist, um, because the guitar now is an extension of our creativity.
Mhm.
And it's how, we cope through life. It's how we help other people. It's always it's a friend, that's always there for you. At least that's my hope, is that it's a friend
Yeah.
and not an enemy. Um, so um,
Mhm.
for for somebody who like it like kind of has that negative relationship, like what would you advise that they try?
Um, I think like what I said before, like don't make the only time you're picking up a guitar be for work. Bring a personal aspect to it, whether it be naming your guitar or even if it's not learning advanced techniques, but just playing a song you like and just strumming and playing that. I think bringing it and as you like you said, making it a friend and not something that's like your work computer. Like I think there needs to be a difference between using our guitar as something for work versus something that, like you said, facilitates creativity in our lives. And um, yeah, I think just really try to not let it be so scary and approach it where you're at. Like if you're not at a place yet where you have those advanced techniques, don't force yourself to learn a song. Like there are plenty of times where I thought I might be ready to learn a song. I would try it out and realize I'm not ready. I need to do a little bit of an easier song before I get to that one and just give yourself grace because it is a very complex instrument and not, yeah, don't approach it as if you have to be the best the first time you pick it up.
Man, just man, you just dropped a whole, like just mic drop. Like
Oh, thanks.
that's gold. Like especially giving yourself grace, like
Mhm.
life's hard enough as it is,
Yeah.
you know? Like give yourself some grace. Like you're
Hmm.
doing if you're a music therapist, like you are doing fantastic work. I don't care.
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
you've had to go through a lot, to be a music therapist, and you're using music to
Hmm.
help people. So like
Yep.
don't be bogged down in your guitar skills, you know.
Hmm.
Give yourself some grace.
Yep.
That's amazing. Amazing. Golly, what a great answer. Okay, so I would love for the listeners to hear you play something.
Yeah. Okay, so I did mention naming your guitar. This is Nora. I named her that because I love Nora Jones, but also it's a black guitar, and in French, noir is uh,
Hmm.
the word for black. So I was like, I feel like that's a good play on words. But
Nice.
this is what is this? Martin, I believe. Yes.
Wow.
Um, it's my newest edition. I love her.
I love Martins.
But yeah, that's my dad's preferred instrument or brand of guitar. So
Hmm.
he he helped me figure out which one to get.
Nice.
Um, but this song is a song I wrote. It's called The Unknown. And I wrote this last summer. And for some context for the song, I think it kind of just captures for me the feeling of as we grow up, our perspective on the world, on life, it changes because that's just the nature of being a human. And like I said before, being a lifelong learner, everything, you're not going to always know everything. So sometimes things are just better left unknown. So,
Wow. Amazing. All right.
I will also say this is in open D tuning.
Nice.
So it's not in standard tuning.
So cool.
All right, this is The Unknown. I'd like to think that there's a reason behind it all, but what do I know? I'd like to think that there is more somewhere, but what do I know? As I get older, the less things are clear. The world that I once knew has disappeared. It is all a mystery. Will it ever be solved? I guess life is all about the unknown. I sometimes think that things will turn out as planned. That's not how it goes. I sometimes think that what I dream will come true. That's not how it goes. As I get older, the less things are clear. The world that I once knew has disappeared. It is all a mystery. Will it ever be solved? I guess life is all about the unknown.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites I've written.
It's one of my favorites too. When are you putting it
Thank
out?
you. Oh, that's a music therapy skill I still need to learn.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What was the lyric? Things get more confusing as I get older.
Um, as I get older, wait, what was it? The world that as I get older, thing. Why am I can't say it out loud. It's like only in the song.
It's like
Get older, the less things are clear. The world that I once knew has disappeared. God. Meaning like the perspective of like a child, how you view the world, that changes as you get older. So.
Man, that's solid.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so good. That like hit me right here. Yeah. Well, I don't think there's much else to say. Bekah, I'm so glad I got to chat with you today.
Yes. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yes. And I'm just so glad that I got to chat with you and talk with you, and excited to see you. And yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
All right. Until next time, everybody. Take care. This has been the Chats and Chops podcast. Thanks for listening, and take care.